and now lucky to be joined here by the brand new voice of the Arizona Cardinals, J.P. Shadrick, joining us here from the perch at Ray Nitschke Field as the Packers take on the Arizona Cardinals in a joint practice. JP, thanks for the time. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Oh, my gosh. It's a pleasure, guys. Really fun to be here. Really fun to be in, 72-degree weather.
A little bit different when you take the 30 off.
Oh, 40 off. It was 115 yesterday in Tempe. So you come out here. I mean, I wanted to sleep outside last night on a park bench or something. This is perfect. So great to be with you guys. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the Cardinals coming in here, and I know you guys can appreciate as the longest camp of anybody in pro football for the Arizona Cardinals in the Hall of Fame game. Yeah. To be at the end, Wayne mentioned it the last 2 weeks that it's the dog days, right? Now it's like that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But before that tunnel's a big old roadblock of probably the toughest practice that either of these two teams are going to have coming up.
I would think so. You know what I mean? When you get into these matchups here in practice, and this is where the veterans, the guys we know are all going to play here, okay, in this practice. That's why we were talking about this the other day, JB, about how, come out to this practice. If you're going to come out to a practice, come out to this one, because you're going to see any starter that's healthy play. And that's what we're going to get here. And that always ratchets it up a little bit more, you know what I mean? It's kind of like as an individual, when you work out on your own, it's one level. When you work out with other people, you play at a different level, and that's the same thing here with practice.
When that's Jordan Love across from you throwing at you, it's a different speed, right, than maybe the practice field in Arizona. So, this is what it's about, man, and it's going to be a safe one, right? They don't tackle to the ground, it's the thud, and that's fine. But you can still get your work in with your starters, and this will be the last look for the Cardinals. Mike LaFleur just said earlier, he confirmed that they're not playing starters on Friday night. Maybe a couple on defense exceptions, but other than that, this is it. This is the last time he's going to see the starters out here in the entire preseason. So they need some good work out of today.
We had found out a couple of times, the last couple of years when the Packers have had this joint practice into their last week. It's almost been used as a punishment. The game has, and Matt mentioned it on Monday that if you get into one of those scuffles that everybody has had trending across the internet because of these joint practices, you might find yourself playing in there if you weren't expecting to. And if you need that game to be able to make the club or make a final impression, you might not be going on out there.
Well, and it's huge for guys that are out there on Friday night because you're auditioning not only for the Packers and the Cardinals, but for these other teams. They look at the tape. That might need somebody a week or two into the season. I had this guy look in the preseason game. So it matters for guys like that are on the roster bubble trying to make a team. But for the starters, you're trying to bubble wrap after today and get ready for September 13th.
JP, you guys have one of the most high-profile draft picks this year. Yeah. Jeremiah Love, the running back. I saw a little of him in that game that you did in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he just looks like he's going to be a terrific, dominant kind of back. What are your impressions of him? And will we see him today, or is he kind of being held out?
I think he's being held out today, and
he's dinged up,
high
right?
Ankle sprain.
Okay,
right? It was the last snap he played. It was caught like an angle over the middle.
And
got rolled up, and that was kind of it. Now he's got on the plane. He's here, but did not have a walking boot on, so that's a good sign. I think for week one. So that's a good sign. He's so dynamic. I mean, his vision's amazing. His cutting ability, he can stop on a dime and leave somebody in the dust, and then has the acceleration to go with that. So complete back, rookie, we'll see. He's played a lot of football in college.
Yeah.
But his first impression was like, whoa, okay, this is what all the hype was about. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah Love has the ability at least to be a dynamic star.
You think of Bijan Robinson down in Atlanta. You think of Saquon Barkley at Philadelphia. Jeremiah Love is probably cut from that same cloth. You know what I mean?
Now he's got to go play.
Yeah.
But in terms of just pure ability, those two guys make sense.
And the other thing that was interesting, the debate before the draft, and I know you weren't with the Cardinals at the time, but the debate before the draft around the league was, why would they waste a draft pick on a running back? They're not ready. They don't have the line. They don't have the quarterback, on and on and on. And my point was, wait a minute, isn't the object to get the best players you can, especially if you're picking third in the draft, and that guy is there, and we're not ready for him? What do you mean you're not ready? When are you not ready for a great player?
We had this argument back in Jacksonville, too. 2017, the Jaguars drafted Leonard Fournette, fifth overall or something, and then people were like, whatever. Now, it ended up not working out there in a number of years, but that first year, they go to the playoffs. They nearly went to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
They were running the football. They had a veteran offensive line. You know what? This offensive line is going to be better than people think, too. I mean, they've got veteran guys they brought in free agency that are 10, 12-year guys in the league. So they know how to play. I think they're going to have a certain style about them. And they're going to have to run. They have to run to set up what Mike wants to do on offense.
And you know what? You can shorten a game by controlling it on the ground. You know what I mean? If you need to keep your defense off the field or whatever. I'll never forget Marv Levy's first year, my first year in the league in 1978 in Kansas City, okay? The Chiefs were bottom feeders at that time. And they had so there were a lot of question marks on defense, and there were no playmakers on offense. So Marv installed the wing T offense, and Tony Reed, somebody named Tony Reed, rushed for 1,000 yards. And the Chiefs didn't win many games, but they were competitive because they would shorten those games in half.
He had been watching a lot of Adams Friendship or Watoma football up here in Wisconsin, bringing the wing T in.
Wing T in the NFL.
While we're at it.
But it was amazing.
But for Arizona, you mentioned, I mean, Paris Johnson's one of my favorite guys to watch in the league, JP. But, like, their offensive line is a ground and pound unit. But their culture starts with James Conner. And when you add in a guy like that to be able to play behind, that's a heck of a duo. Because I think you can absolutely play Love on the field with Conner at the same time.
That's another thing. We haven't seen Conner. He's been off to the side or been doing individual work. He hasn't had team work. So he's taking it. They're letting him kind of control when he's ready to go. They're not really pressing the issue too much because they have backs. They got Algier in free agency.
Yeah, that's right.
They got Love, clearly. Bam Knight actually has been really good this preseason. And then Corey Kiner is the guy who's on the bubble, but in the times he's played in these games in the
he's looked pretty good.
He's been fine.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen all three
serviceable,
of the games.
right? And then if Connor's back, then you got to, some choices to make there. So
I thought the pickup of Tyler Algier was really interesting because he's one of those guys between the tackle, physical kind of back, and he could be a heck of a compliment to Jeremiah.
And I forgot that. Like, I always thought of him as like, he's in the passing game in Atlanta because of Bijan, all this stuff. No, he's thick. Like,
he's thick.
You stand by him, I don't want to tackle that.
No,
guy.
he's 220. He's 5'10", 225. You put 225 on a 5'10" frame. That's
come on now, physical guy. So he's been fantastic so far.
And the quarterback spot is what everybody always wants to talk about here. With Jordan Love going to be one of the hot things to be able to see against a defense that new look defense, obviously a whole new look coaching staff, but Cardinals fans will be somewhat familiar with what the Packers defense would look like and holdovers from the roster. What's that transition like at this moment with Jonathan Gannon? We've talked mostly about the LaFleur brother connection, but the former head coach being the DC here in Green Bay makes
it's an interesting dynamic,
right,
isn't it?
Right, sure is, man. And curious to see that today.
Yeah, I am too. I think it'll be interesting the kind of practice they run and that type of thing. Jonathan Gannon has been a breath of fresh air here. I thought he did a good job in Arizona. Just didn't quite have the players to bring that defense around, but they've got some people, there were so many injuries.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Looking up and down the roster, you almost forget just how talented the roster can be for a team that, in the NFC West, you look up at some of the behemoths of the NFL, obviously the one that just unveiled a sweet ring, one that ringed in the new year by bringing back a future Hall of Famer and bringing in another one to play alongside with the MVP. And no slouch is the team that's stacked up by the substation there in San Francisco, one of the toughest divisions in football to prepare for.
And the AFC West is on the schedule this year too. Chiefs, Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
How lucky.
So, you know what? This is one of my pet peeves. I know I've been in the league for a minute, but I'm a rookie in Arizona, but I'm going to say this anyway. The tough schedule debate just bothers the heck out of me. Like, you cannot control the schedule. Are you going to text Roger Goodell and be like, hey, Raj, sorry.
We need a break.
Could you help us out a little bit?
We need a second bye week. What are you talking about? It is okay for a team to improve and play week to week and match up well against any of these teams in the NFL, and especially in this division. That is allowed. You can get better as an organization, and it starts from top to bottom, from ownership down to the fan base. Same thing happened in Jacksonville. Yeah. They couldn't win anything. They had a 20-game losing streak. And then a year later, they win the division.
Yeah.
And they've won 2 since then, and they've got the quarterback to do it. And they had some other playmakers come in. They're in the process of building that now in Arizona. So don't tell me that it's just a tough division and they're not going to win anything. They might not, and that's fine too because they are really good teams. That's fine. But the Cardinals can be better, and they can improve as the season goes on. That's my soapbox. Sorry.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned that. I thought you were going to go a little bit different direction because my pet peeve is always when the schedule comes out and we do win, loss, win, loss.
Right.
It's the highest viewed podcast we put out every year. It's incredible.
It's in Arizona, everybody's like, loss. I'm out. Come on, guys.
It is the most foolhardy thing anyone can do because football is a game of not who you play or even where you play, but when you play.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, in injuries in the NFL, because it's 100% injured league. All right, everybody's going to get hurt. Doesn't matter. You're going to get injured at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's when. But, so you face a team like, by the end of last year, the Packers, they had 5 of their top 10 people on IR.
The Cardinals played 81 players last season.
Yeah.
If you can't compete when you're third string guy, that's just why they're third string.
Sure.
That's just how it works. So,
so you don't know. I mean, and we're all thinking the Rams are going. They're prohibitive favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, but you know what? What if they get a few injuries in the right places?
Correct.
All of a sudden, they come right back to
their quarterback was living in a mobile home outside of the practice facility last year because he couldn't practice. He couldn't play there, trying to do some kind of hyperbaric chamber for him. So there's a lot of.
What if they can't cover Trey McBride and he scores 3 touchdowns on him?
That's what I'd like to hear.
That's possible.
Well, we are going to see 2 really great tight ends here in this practice today. Because Tucker Kraft is ready to go, and Trey McBride is at the top of the list of pass-catching tight ends. Tucker is a little more of a complete tight end, a little more – he does some other things, blocking and that kind of thing, but Trey McBride is that dynamic pass-catching tight end. I bet you're looking forward to seeing him on a daily basis.
Guys are fun to watch, man. I mean, he is a killer. And now the interesting part in this tight end room, there was this trend in the draft. Everybody's drafting tight ends on day 2. Yeah. I mean, they've got Tip Ryman, who hasn't touched the field in a minute, who's more of a blocking option. Elijah Higgins had a concussion earlier in camp, 4th-year player. But who else is there? I mean, I don't know if they're 4 deep right now at tight end. Like a lot of these teams are trying to trend that way.
Yeah.
What is it behind McBride? That's the big question around.
Yeah, and there's a lot of questions to be answered there. And the other thing, this is going to be an intriguing weekend. I try not to go, like they're going to cut to 53, but it's not the final 53 because they're going to boom, 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 and trades and everything else going.
You've got to kind of waiver claims too. The Cardinals have the 3rd waiver claim, so they can go get guys.
Yeah, if you need a tight end, you probably get a good one. Probably, probably get a pretty darn good tight end out there. Yeah. But so I always wait. You got to wait for the dust to settle. 3-4 days after the fight, okay, they got to be at the 53-man roster at 5:00 on Sunday. Well. But that's not the final 53.
Yeah, she'll show
that's a 53-man roster.
Yeah, the initial. I think one of the biggest moves the Packers made a couple of years ago happened right after they submitted it for Malik Willis when they traded for him down in Tennessee. So it happens year in and year out. You keep bringing up Jacksonville. JP was the voice of the Jags and being around.
I did everything but the voice. I did
everything but the voice.
Pre-game, post-game, coaches show, everything.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Tony Baselli, that would intoxicate me as an offensive line guy. But being around that team, you mentioned the leaps that they took in a number of different coaching changes.
A big number,
and a lot of
number,
and a lot of different things, that may transpire into those. But one thing that you can see is the turnaround from year to year and physicality up front. We talked about it in the offensive line. Defensively, it's another group that is very intriguing that way.
It is, and like we were talking about, I don't know how deep they are right now, but their frontline guys, I think, are going to be able to step in. Roy Lopez is back, nose tackle. I asked him the other day about, what does it take to become a good run defense, and he had a great answer on just everybody doing their own thing, not getting out of place. It's these front 5; they're 3-4, so those 5 guys set the tone up front for the physical. He'll take up 2 blocks. They got Andrew Billings, who's like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of him in Chicago last year.
Right. Yes. He's a pain in the rear end, right? So if you can't move the middle, okay, then you got your outside and your linebackers flying around. So that's the number one priority. And then what do they have at pass rush? I mean, Josh Sweat's going to be out here on the field today doing individual stuff finally. He finally got activated off PUP with a knee issue. And he was on the field the other day in Arizona, and the video I saw, I wasn't there, I had other stuff going on, but I saw the video, I'm like, he's still kind of favoring it a little bit. I don't know if that's his regular gait, how he walks, but let's see a little bit of that today in individuals. But what else do they have in the pass rush? If they stop the run, how are they going to get home? That's a question. There's a handful of guys there. Zaven Collins is one. But after that, I mean, there's 2, 3, 4 guys that are competing for the rotating spots there. And they've got some new faces in the secondary, too. They brought in a safety from from Jacksonville in free agency, and Dewey Wingard. So they got Buddha. So Buddha can
I was
fly
just
going
to
to
say,
field.
Buddha Baker ends up being the mainstay that everybody
he
thinks
sets
of.
the tone. And, yeah, he's a safety, but he's blitzing. He's around. He's all over around the football all the time.
And there's a couple of guys on there that Wayne and I do the draft show that we talked about a lot during their time. And Will Johnson is one that, I mean, he was one of the most intriguing names, Wayne, when he came out of talent-wise, unparalleled. It was hard to measure up against the other guys in that class, but the health-wise was a concern, but it hadn't necessarily been as much, right?
He played, 10 games last year, 10 starts a season ago. He had a couple of injuries last year, but he's the number one corner on this team. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
There are questions about the number 2 guy. They've been auditioning some guys the last few weeks.
Okay.
Now, we've been seeing that, too, over here as the number 2 corner has become the most maligned player potentially on the Packers roster, Keyshawn Nixon. I'm excited to see him go up against Marvin Harrison Jr., a couple other guys in there. Yeah. Wayne knows, and JP, I apologize. I will salivate once the offensive defensive line one-on-ones generally happen right over here in front of us. But those wide receiver cornerback ones will be the matchups.
So I'm excited for the one-on-ones because Mike LaFleur doesn't really do a lot of that in practices. It's a lot of just teamwork. They believe that football is football. We're going to play, and we'll kind of dissect it from there. So I haven't seen – with my own eyes, at least one-on-ones, corners, DBs against receivers
or offensive line, pass rushers, D-line.
So I'm excited if they do that today, which I should have asked earlier, but I'm sure they will at some point today. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch.
No, it really will. And, the other thing is people were wondering about, well, this is practice. Yes, it's a practice, but when you have somebody else in camp, the intensity goes up a little bit. That's what the coaches look forward to. And they've shied away from it. Used to be, when we did these joint practices, it would be 2 days, and then you play the game. Right. Well, one team would come out and kind of dominate the first day. The next day, the other team
Mike Tyson's
they got their
night.
Butt kicked, and they're going. They're coming out, and all of a sudden, day 2 was a scrum, not a practice. It was a scrum.
No doubt about it.
So they don't do that anymore. They do one.
Very rarely. Yeah.
They do one, and I know.
I think Minnesota, Baltimore did 2 this week.
Jaguars, Bucks did 2. But the second day was not in pads. Which I don't know what you
I was going to say I don't know why exactly you're doing that, but at that point, why not? Yeah,
I'm not there anymore. I don't care.
Right. Good one to have. Now you're also correct me if I'm wrong here, and I definitely might be voice of the international series, right? Or one of the voices. Westwood won on the international series.
So it happened that I was over there with the Jaguars anyway, doing events all week, and then pregame and postgame on radio with the Jags. And I'd started doing some college games with Westwood. And they were like, hey, what do you do during the games? I'm like, well, I just twiddle my thumbs. I don't really do anything. Watch the game. Okay, let's think about it. Because Tom McCarthy was going to do the game one year. Mm-hmm. The Phillies made this improbable run to the World Series. So he couldn't go. And bang, when Bryce Harper hit the home run, I was doing the Jags game in London on Westwood. I'm like, yeah, Bryce Harper's my guy now. So that's how it started. And from then on, it was every Jaguar game. I would just do it on Westwood 1, do the Jags pregame, slide over 2 tables down, call the game neutral, come back and talk how the Jaguars blew it or didn't on the postgame show.
Sure.
And then I added a few after that. So I always do the other games. Usually have 3 games there now. So, yeah, and then it worked into Thanksgiving and Christmas and some other dates as well. So very, very lucky, yeah.
Well, we're excited to have you on a full-time basis with the Cardinals because I mentioned it to Wayne, and people laugh at me. It's one of my sick obsessions. Is the radio calls on the NFL app are my favorite part of the game of the NFL Plus package. Be able to tap around the nerdy side of it, get the feel of what it's like from somebody that sees it all the time, and I'm excited to be able to have that today with both sides.
Well, here's the thing. I got to say this, not just because I'm sitting here, but to sit by this guy.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness.
Kidding me right here?
Yeah.
Wayne Larrivee is like a legend in the business. Mm-hmm. And he is. You are.
That only means I'm old.
Well, you mentioned 1978, so you're the one that brought it up.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
that seems like yesterday to me. But then again, when you're failing.
He's still getting voted the number 1 guy in the league. Like all these polls. I mean, it's real. I mean, the fastball's there. He's got everything you want. And
you're very kind.
What people should aspire to be doing this business.
Does that mean I have to pick up the check at Manny's on Thursday?
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
I will have dessert. Thank you.
They get a double as well. We'll see if we have 2 of those as well.
Well, while you have dessert, I'll have another pitcher of beer.
I love that. That's perfect. Perfect with me.
We will hold off on the pitchers for a couple more minutes, and the plays will happen in a couple more minutes as well. J.P. Shadrick, voice of the Cardinals, hanging out with us here on the perch. Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, to my right as well. It is Training Camp Live, presented by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, right here on Fox Sports Radio, Wisconsin.